Flowers, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the 4 decisions that have improved my life. So if you are interested in that, please keep watching. So this video was inspired by all of the comments that I got on the video about the 5 habits that changed my life. You guys seem to really enjoy that content, but then also as I've been sharing more here on my YouTube channel and on my podcast, so many of you guys have been asking me questions about how I'm able to maintain my lifestyle, how I'm able to do all of the things that I do, how do I stay so optimistic, etc. And when I thought about it, I realized that a lot of it has to do with the decisions that I've made. And so I wanted to share the top 4 decisions that I've specifically made this year that have improved my life. And hopefully they will inspire you to make some decisions about the remainder of this year for yourself. So without further ado, let's take a look at decision number 1. So the number 1 decision that I made at the top of 2018 was that I would be willing to be misunderstood. And I made the decision to be willing to be misunderstood because I knew that coming into 2018, I wanted it to feel different than 2017. At the top of 2017, I was incredibly sick. I experienced something called nervous exhaustion, and it literally restructured my entire life. My company failed. Two companies failed. I moved from my hometown. I was severely depressed, overwhelmingly anxious, and not able to get out of bed for several days, if not weeks at a time. And that was a very difficult thing to go through. And I made a promise to myself to, as I was getting back up, to restructure my life in such a way that should I ever have to revisit a dark place in my life, it wouldn't be as isolating and as overwhelming as it was in 2017. And so with that, I realized that I was going to have to do some things differently, as professionally and personally. And specifically professionally, because in my profession, I'm a motivational speaker. I travel around the world inspiring people to create real happiness. So much of my life becomes the examples for the stories that I share on the stage and the proof that I offer to people that the systems and strategies and mechanics that I'm sharing work, right? And I had to get to the point where I realized that, like, in order for me to do the work that I was born to do, in order for me to do what I was called to do, that I had to be okay with being misunderstood. And not just misunderstood in that, like, oh, I said the wrong word, so you misunderstood what I meant because I said the wrong word. I mean misunderstood in that I can say all of the exact words that I mean, but there's still going to be a segment of the population, even a segment of my tribe, who misunderstands me. There's still going to be a group of people who feels like I'm doing something wrong, or I'm doing something incomplete, or I'm doing something in error. And at the top of the year, when I made the decision that I'm like, all right, I'm okay with being misunderstood. I don't care if my friends misunderstand me. I don't care if my family misunderstands me. I don't care if my spiritual teachers misunderstand me. I don't care if my mentor, my coach, I don't care who misunderstands me in 2018. So long as I understand myself, I am okay with that. And so making that decision made it so much easier for me to just breathe in 2018. It made it so much easier for me to just be. It just made it so much easier for me to exist and to begin to rebuild my life and open new companies, put those old companies to bed, to repair and heal and mend relationships that were severely damaged because of me unexpectedly leaving and getting sick. It just made it so much easier for me to do the stuff that I wanted to do so that I could have the life that I actually want. And so I highly encourage anyone who's listening and watching, if you haven't already, consider making the decision to be willing to be misunderstood. The second decision that I made in 2018, and I made it sort of at the end of 2017, but I kicked it up a notch in 2018, was to document my financial journey. And making that decision was difficult, to say the least. So for those of you who don't know, I've been a professional speaker now for this will be my 6th year of me being a professional speaker. I had a thriving speaking company. I literally traveled around the world inspiring people to create real happiness. Even before I had a professional speaking company, I had a boutique HR consulting firm where I designed and delivered training programs to Fortune 500 companies. And so my corporate persona and my corporate experience and my business experience did not lend itself well to me publicly talking about my financial failures, right? Like, there was not a lot of room in all that I had accomplished for me to publicly be like, but actually I'm failing, I'm struggling, and I only make $11 an hour now. Like, it was a very hard thing to say, all right, Stacey, you're either gonna do this or you're not gonna do it. And I'm so grateful that I made the decision to do it despite my corporate persona, despite the relationships and the networks that I had built on abundance and success and me thriving and me actually truly being able to serve these companies. I'm so grateful that I decided to do it despite it, but I just want to let you guys know it was not an easy decision, right? It was a very difficult, thought out decision that I made. And then, you know, once I made the decision, it wasn't just me making the decision, it was actually me showing up on camera and sharing and expressing with as much truth and authenticity as I possibly could. And even if I didn't have all of those previous successes, most people don't talk about money with the level of transparency that I talk about money in anywhere, right? One of the reasons why I chose to offer it is because I went on a financial journey. I was met with success, and then I failed again. And I was like, okay, I'm being inspired, I'm being motivated, I'm even taking the action and doing the work, but I am still coming back to this place of failure, and there's something that I need. And so I was so frustrated because nobody was being as transparent as I wanted them. Nobody was talking about the emotions and how hard it was. And also, I think most of the people that were inspiring me had a spouse, and I was just like, I have people who love me, and I have been in relationships throughout my financial journey, but I'm not married. And when you tell me, you know, oh, well, my husband did this, it's like, that does not help me, you know? And so I was so frustrated. And then I just was like, okay, your frustration is because there's a gap in the marketplace and you need to fill that gap. And I was just like, no. And then, you know, I did the thought work, and then I finally came to the conclusion, and I was just like, yeah, but that decision improved my life because it was through me making that decision to document my financial journey that I was able to affirm to myself how I learn best, which I always knew that I learned through talking and like small groups and stuff, but I had no idea that I literally just learn and heal through talking out loud. Like, sometimes all I need to do is say it, and then I can absorb it, and then I can go do something about it. And it's been fascinating to learn that about myself because I've been able to translate that into my business. I've been able to translate that into my personal relationships. I've been able to translate that quirk of mine into so many different areas. And so it has dramatically improved my personal life. It's dramatically improved my professional life. And any of you all who've been following me to this point, you can see that it's dramatically improved my finances, from me being able to open up my company without debt, from me being able to move on a very small income, to me, you know, being able to, you know, pay my child support voluntarily that I'm doing, but to be able to increase that, you know, just a lot of the things that I'm able to do financially, I would have never thought that I could have done that on the income that I have and within the time frame that I've done it. But I think me making the decision to document my journey is the thing that opened it up and made it incredibly possible. So that is the second decision that I made that dramatically improved my life. I understand that making sound decisions are the thing that just improves your life. And I would be remiss if I did not tell you guys that a lot of the confidence that I've been able to gain in making decisions for myself, especially life improving decisions, comes from the fact of me investing in therapy. I have elected to continue therapy even as I'm healing and brighter and feeling stronger and more confident in my decision making. I have chosen to remain in therapy for the remainder of my life because that's just how valuable it is. But it's also one of the reasons why I'm so super excited and over the moon to partner with BetterHelp. It is the world's largest e-counseling platform to bring you affordable, convenient, private counseling from licensed therapists, LPCs, psychologists, and social workers. My therapist is an LPC, and she has literally changed my life for the better and made it easier for me to make decisions that improve my life. One of the things that I love about BetterHelp is its commitment to providing accessible, affordable counseling services to anyone struggling with life's challenges. If you need support with trauma, grief, intimacy, anxiety, PTSD, stress, self-esteem, relationships, or with anything blocking you from creating real happiness in your life, I recommend sitting down and chatting with a therapist. To start therapy today, just go to www.tryonlinetherapy.com/Stacey Flowers and complete the confidential questionnaire. Within an hour, you'll be matched with a licensed therapist to support you in living a better, more happier life every single day. The third decision that I made that dramatically improved my life was to get dressed every single day. And I probably, at the beginning of the year, I just didn't have as many clothes. And a part of the reason why I didn't have clothes is because I moved unexpectedly. And so many of my clothes were just left at my own home, packed by my family. And then they moved to a different place and I had moved. And so then when I went back to get my clothes, I have 7 nieces and most of them are my size at this point. They're coming into their teen years. And so some of my clothes my nieces are wearing. You know, some of my clothes just got lost in transit. Like some of my clothes I literally couldn't fit anymore because I was almost 20 pounds heavier. Like there were so many things that happened to my wardrobe. And so at the beginning of 2018, I really didn't have anything to wear. And then I want to say in February was when I made the decision to figure out a capsule. And then once I was figuring out the capsule, I realized that I felt incredible every morning when I got dressed. Even if the clothes weren't perfect, I still felt better every time I got dressed. And so that was about February, March. By the time April came around, I was like, I started to say to myself, you know, everywhere you go, you are you. I want to get dressed because I actually like how I feel when I look good in the clothes that I'm wearing, and I like feeling good. My work is better when I get dressed. And at the end of the day, whether or not somebody's there, you know, asking for my autograph or asking for a hug, I'm still me everywhere I go. And you know, in 2017, I went through all this stuff of like, nobody's supporting me and blah blah blah. And I like coming into 2018, I'm like, no, Stacey, you gotta support yourself. Like you're upset that nobody's showing up for you, but you're not even showing up for yourself. You won't even put on a matching shirt and pants. Like you won't even put on a dress. You won't put on the proper underwear for your dress, yet you want people to show up for you. That's not how any of this works. Like people are attracted to you based on you attract every single thing to you. So if you're looking around your life and you're like, this is a complaint and this is a complaint, instead of pointing all those fingers at other people, you have to realize like that is your level of attraction. Like if you happen to attract nobody supporting you in your life, it's because you're not supporting yourself. If nobody is showing up for you in your life, it's because you were not showing up for yourself. And one of the ways I wasn't showing up is like I'm such a girly girl and I love getting dressed. And my favorite, one of the reasons I love speaking from the stage is because I get to be absolutely ridiculous with my clothes because I'm performing, right? But I realize that like I can be like that off the stage. Like I can be ridiculous with my clothes every day. Like I love this stuff. It doesn't have to be relegated to just this specific time. I can do this right freaking now. And so when I realized that, I was like, all right, so show up for yourself. Like the way you would show up for an audience, show up for yourself. Even if you don't leave the house, even if you're in the house recording YouTube videos all day, show up and get dressed. And it has dramatically improved my life because I feel so much better. I am wearing my clothes, which is saving me money. I'm learning my style, which is helping me to be able to purchase better items. You know, I'm showing up for myself in a way that expresses the best version of who I am, which is something that I've always wanted to do, but I had no idea that simply deciding every single morning that I was going to get dressed and then doing that. And this translates even into my part-time job. There's a guy who comes through the line all the time at my part-time job, and he had made mention, and we wear a uniform, like everybody there wears a uniform, and he made mention, he was just like, you know, I knew there was something different about you because you're the only person who comes in here like that works and who actually has on like a clean, like ironed uniform. And I don't understand why other people don't do it, but you don't come in here, you know, less than the best that you could with this uniform that they offer you. I'm editing some of his language because I don't want to tell you guys where I work, but the point of the matter is that even though I wear a uniform to my part-time job, people still noticed that I got dressed that day, even though it's a uniform. And so when I say get dressed every morning, whether I'm getting up at 5 o'clock to get to my part-time job at 6, or I'm getting up to record, or I'm getting up to just go sit in the park, I'm getting dressed every day, and it makes a difference because the energy of showing up for myself has turned me into a magnet for people showing up for me. The energy of me supporting myself through putting on things that make me feel good has turned me into a magnet of people supporting me. It is, I mean, we're in July and it just feels freaking amazing to have made that decision. So get dressed every single day. Every single day, get dressed. The last decision that I made that dramatically improved my life, especially in 2018, is I made the decision to only work part-time. And this is something that in my YouTube community I get a lot of pushback for, but it is the best decision that I have ever made. And even in my personal life, a lot of people have suggested, they're like, with all your skills, your degrees, you need to be working more, you need to be doing this. making the decision to only work part-time has been the best, most life-improving decision for me, because I always knew that there was this creative part of me. I always knew that in many ways I was an artist. I always knew in many ways that I was a very sound business person. And I think the thing that I never had given to myself in the past was enough time to work on my business instead of working in my business. And what I mean by that is that all the years before, in the 6 years that I had my speaking company, well, there was like a year or two where it was just speaking, but dibble and dabble, I'm in and out of working full-time for someone else. My HR consulting firm, that was all I did. But the point of the matter is I typically, when I'm working for myself, I'm also working full-time somewhere else, or a combination of different projects that add up to full-time work. And what happened is I did not realize that those full-time jobs were getting they were getting the best of my creativity. They were getting the best of my energy. They were getting the best of the amount of willpower, discipline, and creativity that I had for that day, that month, that year. I didn't realize that I was sewing that into those different companies. I mean, I should have been able to realize that their results were amazing, but I just didn't realize that. And so, and with me doing that, it never left enough space and time for me to truly sow into my own company with the level of creativity, imagination, enthusiasm, and energy as I gave to them. And so in 2018, when I decided to only work part-time, it freed up all of that space and all of that time for me to be able to sow and invest in my company in a way where I worked on it, right? And so before, when I was working for other companies full-time, all I had is enough time to work in my business. Like, I only had enough time to do the technical work of my business. I only had enough time to speak. I didn't have enough time to speak and build a platform. I didn't have enough time to speak and write a book. I didn't have enough time to speak and do coaching, because I was working full-time for someone else. There was not enough time for me to do anything else besides the skill and the gift of speaking. And so I was always working in my business, which literally means I was self-employed as opposed to me actually having a business. But now with me working part-time, I can work on my business, and that means I get to work on my platform. I get to work on my brand. I get to work on my speeches. I get to work on my clients. I get to work on all of these different things and actually build up a business structure and a business system that can sustain itself even if I don't show up to work. And that has been phenomenal. But had I not committed and made the decision to only work part-time, and all of the decisions that come after that, right? Because once I decided to only work part-time, that was also me deciding to keep my lifestyle at a certain level, because I needed my part-time income to be able to cover my 4 walls. You know, me deciding to work part-time also meant that I needed to put in some other structures to be able to dedicate time to my company. So it's like, once I made the decision once I made the decision to only work part-time, it opened me up to the possibilities of actually creating the life that I want. And it's been a hard decision to maintain, because there's been so many things that have come up that have been pushing and pulling me into going into full-time. But thankfully, I selected a part-time job that limits me from even entertaining the idea of going full-time, because there's a maximum capacity that I can earn at my part-time job. And I did that intentionally, because if I could have earned more, if I worked a part-time job where, you know, possible promotions and possible increase in income, and if I worked over a certain amount of hours or overtime was available, I would have taken that option every single time. But because I knew that there was a lost opportunity cost with me investing too much time here, and because I knew that there was a cap on how much I could earn, I had no choice but to turn around and focus on working on my business. Focus on the emotional work and the healing that I still needed to do psychologically and emotionally and mentally because of me managing PTSD. It's like me making the decision to work part-time set me up to be able to literally create the exact life that I want. And I am so incredibly grateful for that. And so those have been the 4 decisions that have improved my life. What I want to know from you are, what decisions have you made in 2018 that have improved your life? So go ahead and list those in the comments below. And again, if you really enjoyed this video, you'll probably also enjoy my video on the 5 habits that changed my life. So I'll talk to you all very soon. Thank you so much for supporting my work. Goodbye.